16th of December, Rabbi Levitt being substituted by Chaim Sendik, Gemorrah.
Welcome back.
Again, how are you?
Baruch Hashem. Doing well.
Ready to roll.
Okay. We're on Bava Kama on the top of Pei Tesem at Aleph. And we're discussing Takanas Usha. There's a takana made by the Sanhedrin when it was located in Usha, that a woman who attempts to sell her nichse milug property, lands or other properties that she brings into the marriage and were not assessed in the ksuba, she might try to sell it, but it's invalid. If in the end her husband inherits her, he can also seize those properties from the buyers. Today we're going to see what does this have to do with our mission. All right. Now we're going to be able to tie it back into our sugya. If you remember our Mishnah, well, of course we're in Perek HaChovel. We're talking about personal injury. What happens if a woman causes nezek or chavola or other personal injury? At the moment, she doesn't have the money to pay. Can a married woman, get money in her own bank account in her own name that she would be able to pay back damage that she caused? Perhaps she can. All right, where should we begin? I think we're in the middle of the section of Idi Bar Ovin. We didn't quite finish it. We talked about a case. Edom Zomim showed up one day and they gave Eidos about a couple that seems to be married. They said, no, he already divorced her and he paid out the ksuba. So who is the victim of their plan? In this case, it would be the wife. And now she can no longer collect the ksuba. When they are proven to be zomin, they are plotting witnesses. How much should we fine them? How much did they cause her to lose? So the Gemorrah says that she lost tovas hana. Since she is married, at any given moment, she can sell the rights to her ksuba. She can sell her ksuba to a potential buyer at risk. Maybe the buyer will get it from her, and maybe the husband will inherit her, and the buyer will never get it. So now we have to tie that into our sugya. So let's pick up the Isal Gadaita. That is on the 6th line of Pei Tesem at Aleph. Anybody have the place in the art scroll?
89, A1, left-hand column, bottom paragraph.
Okay. Sounds good. Who's up first? Lou, would you like to begin?
V'i sakadaisach lesa lisakanas ushya. And if it should enter your mind that there was not an enactment in Usha,
Right.
Amai Yirashena Bala. Why does her husband inherit her? Tizabain Kasuvasa Legamre. Let her sell her kasuba completely.
Let's think about that for a moment. We need to know how much were these Edom Zomim making her lose.
Right. So if the husband does not inherit her, then ksuba is worth full value.
Right.
It doesn't matter who dies first. Whenever the husband dies, the ksuba goes to the wife or to her estate.
If the husband dies, that's true. She gets the full ksuba. But now we're saying, perhaps even if the wife dies first, there is something that she could do that she would remain with the property. The husband would not inherit her. If Leisa letakanas usha, if there's no such thing as takanas usha, let her sell off her nechsei milug. Let her sell them off to a buyer and keep the money. In which case, there's no risk. We assume that there's risk. Once again, we assumed that any property in the ksuba will be sold at a discounted rate because it's always at risk. Maybe the husband, on the one hand, maybe the husband will pay out the ksuba, but on the other hand, maybe the husband will never pay out the ksuba. Maybe the husband will inherit his wife, and he'll never have to pay out the ksuba. In which case, the buyer will get zero. Wait a minute. If there's no such thing as takanas usha, a wife can always preempt that. A wife can preempt her husband inheriting her by selling her nechsei milug. If she can always do that, there's no risk. And yet we see the halacha is that there is risk involved. So Ravidi Bar Oven is telling us it must be, there is such a thing as takanas usha. We have a source for takanas usha in a brisa, in the words of the Tanoi. Clear so far?
I don't know why you're focusing on selling the nechsei milug.
Right. Let's see the answer.
You could just sell her ksuba.
Let her do both. Let her, the ksuba is certainly at risk, but the nechsei milug aspect, we're saying now is not at risk. Oh, so I remember at the end yesterday, Roy, yes, you said the same answer. So let's see the answer. Amar Abaye. It's about another line.
You want me to continue?
Yes, one more line, please.
Amar Abaye said, Im Amru v'nechsei milug, if they say the regarding the property, Yomru v'nechsei tzon barzel.
Question mark.
Did they state regarding tzon barzel property?
So this is what you're pointing out. There are parts of the ksuba that she certainly cannot sell and therefore remain at risk. Let's remind ourselves outside, what is tzon barzel property? She brings it into the marriage, but essentially the husband buys it. It's written in at present value into the ksuba, and then it's his. In the event the ksuba is paid out, he pays the full value. So that she can't sell. She already sold it to the husband for all intents and purposes. Maybe that's what this brisa is talking about. When a ksuba is when we say that a ksuba can be sold only for tovas hana and not the full amount, that's talking about nechsei tzon barzel. The nechsei milug, maybe she can sell it outright. What did we do now? We deflected Rav Idi Bar Oven's proof. Maybe we don't hold of takanas usha.
So again, why is what is it about the tzon barzel? Tzon barzel cannot be sold because the husband owns it?
For all intents and purposes, yes.
What do you
Let's
what do
see
you
it
mean
in
for all intents and purposes?
Not only does he own the payrolls, he owns the guf.
Right?
In other words, in any way that this marriage might end up, the husband will end up with the nechsei tzon barazel. If he survives her, if he inherits her, he'll get the tzon barazel outright. And even if he ends up paying out the ksuba, if he dies first or he divorces her, still he'll keep the actual property, and he will reimburse her with money to the amount that was written in the ksuba, regardless of a rise in value, appreciation, deterioration. He'll pay the full amount that's written in the ksuba that it was worth when they entered the marriage. But he keeps the property, so there's no way that she'll be able to sell it.
Okay.
He has the guf and the payros of nechsei tzon barazel. So that's not what Takanas Usha is about. Takanas Usha is about nechsei milog, where he owns the payros, but she owns the guf. And you would have thought that she could sell the property. So Takanas Usha says that she cannot. And we're trying to figure out, do we have a source in this in the Brisa? Do we have a source in the Tanoim that there is such a thing as Takanas Usha? Do we have a source to back it up? Now we've established we do not have a source to back it up. We thought we did. We talked about selling at risk, and then we said, no. Maybe that's so embarrassing. But nechsei milug, maybe she can sell it outright.
The reason that Tzon Barzel is at risk is because if she dies first, he gets it. But if he dies first, wait a second, if he dies first, he also gets it.
He gets the actual property, but he'll have to pay for it. The value of the nechsei tzon barazel, thank you for clarifying that, Lou. The value of the nechsei tzon barazel must be paid out to the woman. Or in this case, if she sold it, it will be paid out to the buyers.
So if he dies first, then she gets money, which she would not get if she died first.
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
Shall we catch up in Rashi? What was the last Rashi that we've learned together? Did we do Rashi at the top of the Amud? V'harehi tachtav? The truth is, this is really relevant to the Gemorrah we learned yesterday.
I don't think we did it.
You want to go back to it, or should we carry on with what we saw today? What do you think, gentlemen? Should we go back to it? All right. This is why don't we give it a try? Since it's basically the same topic. It was the first word on the page. V'harei tachtav. This was part of the edus of the Edom Zomin. They said V'harei tachtav means it looks like she's still married, but we say she's not. She is still living with him. So Rashi makes a side point. Let's say we know Vadai, we know for sure that she was divorced through other witnesses who have not been disproven. In which case, what are these Edom Zomim adding? They're adding that the husband has already paid her the ksuba. And then they are found to be Zomim. Okay, enter that line. Ki mishtakechi hanach Edom Zomimin. When these Edom are found to be Edom Zomim, plotting witnesses, havu mishalmin la kol kisuvasa. Of course, how much must they pay? The entire value of the ksuba. They're trying to make her lose the whole thing. Once again, if we know independently that a woman became divorced, And the question is, has she collected a ksuba or not? And Edom Zoimim come and tell us, yes, she has collected a ksuba. So of course, how much must they pay? The full value of the ksuba. Because everybody agrees she's entitled to it. The question is, did she collect it yet or not? That's how much she lost out of the deal. So that's how much they must pay her. Where did I leave off? The end. Let's go back to the end of the second line. The haba'ula avsude kula, beginning of the third line. They're trying to make her lose all of it. Mina, from her. Dika amri, they are saying no sanla, that he has already given it to her. Aval hashta. However, now that is not the case in the Gemorrah. Why? Shema eina asida lito kesuvasa. What really happened is she never got divorced at all. And perhaps, maybe she never will. Maybe she'll never even collect her ksuba le'olam ever. Why? Shema tamus v'yirashena bailo. Maybe she will die first and her husband will inherit her. V'nimsa shalohi u'mafsidin osa klum. In which case, it turns out they didn't really make her lose anything at all. They said that her ksuba was already paid out, but she wouldn't have collected it anyway. So now the Gemara will explain how much must the Edom pay. They must pay that doubt, that small amount, that tovat hana, because we don't know what the eventuality will ensue. Lefichach, we're on the fifth line. Therefore, ein omrim yeshamu la kisuvasa. We do not decide that the Edom Zoimim must pay the entire ksuba. Ella, rather, what do? Omdim, we calculate. Kama adam rotze litain la miyad. How much would an adam, would a person, a buyer, a third party, want to give her miyad immediately, COD, cash on demand, biksuvasa, for her ksuba, al hasafek, with the doubt, the risk in mind. She'imnis amala onis gaisha, that if she ends up becoming widowed or divorced, yitlanahu, he, the buyer, will collect the ksuba. V'im tamos. However, if she dies first, then the buyer will collect nothing. Yiroshana baila, her husband will inherit. V'hu yafsid mashanasan, and he will lose his investment. So how much would he pay for that risk? That's the amount that the Edom Zoimim must pay the woman. Why? The Tovas Hana Azo Mafsidin Osa Miyad. It is this small amount that they are making her lose right now. She could sell her ksubit at any given moment, and the Edom Zoimim are telling her, no, you can't, because you're divorced already. Had she come to sell her ksuba at this moment, she couldn't, because the Edom testified that she's divorced already. So that's what the Edom must pay. Just in the last line of this Rashi now gives us an important definition. Tovas hana'a kolomar davar mu'at. We shouldn't try to translate the words literally. Tovas hana'a, the goodness of the benefit. What does that mean? It means davar mu'at. It means a little bit, not the full value. Good so far, gentlemen. Any questions?
Just a minor point. COD means cash on delivery, not cash on demand.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I guess I wasn't an accounting major. Very good. It's an important term in Hilchos Ribbis, right? Whenever you're paying COD, there's no Ribbis problem. It's only when you delay payment that you start getting into questions.
Ah, good point.
Okay. All right. So we said this outside yesterday. So now we've defined what the Edom Zoimim must pay, and we have defined what Tovas Hana is. So let's step back into let's think for a moment in the give and take of the Gemorrah. So they're taking a risk. That means that sounds like it's a sure thing that if the wife would die first, the investor would lose his investment. Why is it such a sure thing? Maybe she'll sell out her nichse milug. All right, let's go to the next Rashi. Im amru b'nichse milug. If they said about nichse milug, once again, what is nichse milug? Where she owns the guf hakarka, she owns the actual item. If we would say that she can sell it, CAN, she can sell it, meaning we don't hold up takanas usha. Rashi begins. If we say shetucha lemochan, that she can sell it, ve'ena ba'al motzi miyad alakuchos, and we would say the husband cannot seize it from the buyers. Why? Shahare im pichasu la. If over the course of the marriage, pichasu, this property depreciates in value, who takes that loss? Pichasu la. That's her loss. In the end, she collects the nichse milug as is. V'im hosiru la. If they appreciate in value, so too it belongs to her. In other words, the guf belongs to her. If it's if it's a sweater, she gets back the worn-out sweater. If it's land and they discover oil, so then she gets back the land with whatever benefits came about. So maybe it would be only there that we might not hold of takanas usha, that she really can sell the land. Good so far? That's one half of the picture. Now on to the next Rashi. Yomru b'nichse tzon barzel. Shall we say the same thing regarding nichse tzon barzel? Can she get away with that? Can she sell that property? Okay, Rashi is now going to define what nichse tzon barzel are. Bichsuvata. Very important first word. What's different about nichse tzon barzel? They are in the ksuva. They are written. They write into the ksuva, and Mrs. So-and-so brought into the marriage her apartment on Rehov Yafo in Yerushalayim, and it is valued at $4 million. Right? Now it's nichse tzon barzel. Dehainu. Nedunya. What's a good translation of the word nedunya? Property she brought into the marriage. Shehichnisa, she brings into him bishuma, at an evaluated amount. Mibeis avia, from her father's house. The kosvin osabik ksuvasa. They write it into the ksuba, right? Shouldn't be left in doubt how much it's worth. Umekabel alav chasan achrayus. The chasan in the ksuba accepts the responsibility to pay for it. Namely what? If the marriage should end and he has to pay out the ksuba, he's got to pay those full $4 million. Let's say the property depreciated, right? He bought a house on Main Street in Chernobyl, and then the nuclear reactor blew up. That's his problem. He still owes the full amount. If the property went up in value, like he had a house in Yerushalayim, so he gets the benefit. He need only pay the value at the time of the marriage. Nichse tzon barzel means what? Property that remains in the responsibility of the makabel, of the one who accepted them. That would be the chasa. L'shalem. He has to pay him out. Ke'ein barzel zeh. Literally, tzon barzel means iron sheep. What are iron sheep? They're set in stone. Just like a piece of iron, shehu kasheh. It is a solid item. Liot pochet. It's probably not going to wear out, right? V'hosam vaday lo motzi mezavna. Now, for our purposes, what does that mean? There is certainly she cannot sell it. By writing it into the ksuba, the husband, in essence, became a buyer. For the price set at the amount in the ksuba, there's no way she can sell it to somebody else. Therefore, maybe when we say that the edim zoimim have to pay the amount, not the full amount, but the amount at risk, maybe it's talking about this property, nichsei tzon barzel. Because again, if the marriage ends in death of the husband or divorce, the buyer would collect the value. However, there's nothing to do to prevent the fact that if the wife passes away first, so then the buyer would get nothing. Okay, we've conquered Rashi. Any questions?
What about the kasuva itself? Why do we have to?
Ooh.
Why do you have to worry about the nixei tzon barzel? We've got an obligation on the husband to support the wife if she's divorced.
That's true.
What?
The ksuba itself is a fixed amount. You know, for a first marriage, 200 zuz. For a second marriage, 100 zuz. That could be small change. You know, if we're talking about apartments for $4 million, it's the ksuba itself probably is at risk. I don't know if she can sell that. Tosfos brings it up at some point, but I have to find where. What about the ksuba itself? Let me see if I can spot it.
It would seem to me she could definitely sell it. Say, if I'm selling you this ability to collect 200 zoos if I get divorced.
Very good. You're saying she could sell it.
It seems to me she could.
That, and therefore it is part of the risk. We could have explained the brayso regarding the 100 or the 200 zos. I hear. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, one moment. I'll be back in a moment. My apologies. Tosfos might mention it on the bottom of Pechas Amud Beis.
Pechas Amud Beis.
Right, the bottom of the previous Amud. V'yesh loma, 2 lines from the bottom, in the middle of the line. V'yesh loma dahi amona umasayim ka'omer. The pshita behanhu. It is simple, you know, it is obvious about these. Mana and Masayim, the basic kisuva that you mentioned, the afilu machra, ein halakuchos goben mana umasayim mibal. Me'achar shemesa b'chaye bala. Aval hach dehocha ein lidchos de amana umasayim koi. Tosfos down there is discussing a different question. There's a Mishnah in Makos about this topic, about Edim Zomim, about a ksuba, but there in Makos it comes from the opposite perspective. There's in Makos it talks about they give edus that a husband divorced his wife and did not pay the ksuba. So who's the victim there? The victim is the husband, because now they make him pay out the ksuba in full immediately. So Tosfos is discussing why did our Gemorrah choose to bring this case where they're saying that he did pay the ksuba and the wife is the victim? It's a brayso. Why ask for a brayso if you can ask for a Mishnah? The Mishnah in Makos talks about where the husband is the victim. So I tell you the truth, I didn't go through the Tosfos in depth. I think he's saying the Mishnah, because the Mishnah in Makos might be talking about the Mana of Masayim, which is not our topic here. We're trying to figure out about Nifsa Milug. Whereas our Brisa, it would be hard to say that it's talking about the Mana and the Masayim. I'll tell you the truth, I didn't prepare this Tosfos. And therefore, I don't have an answer to your question. What about the actual 100 and 200 zuz? I hear what you're saying. I think you're right. I think that she can sell it, with the caveat that we're going to need to see the coming up sugya in the Gemorrah. There's another aspect of ksuva of isa v'heter. We're gonna see in a moment the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says that a wife must always have a ksuba, not just the physical document, but the debt in the document. We don't want a husband to feel free to divorce his wife and not have to pay for it. There always has to be, a ksuba ready and waiting to collect, to encourage him not to be so hasty in divorcing his wife. The moment that she sells out, so it's not going to be so simple. We'll see it in the coming sugya. All right, are we ready to move on? We're up to Amar Abaye, the second Amar Abaye, on the top of 89a. Amar Abaye Tovat Hana.
89A1, right-hand column, top paragraph.
Okay, who's up next? Alan. Maybe wait a bit.
Okay. Machari, right? Machari, he, Tor. That's it, right?
No, it says the Gemorrah digresses.
Oh, okay. Oh, right column. Okay. The Gemorrah digresses to discuss the discounted value of a woman's ksuba. Omar Rabbi. Omar said, Tovor Hanor, discounted amount of the ksuba, Hoel, or saw begun, since it come to our hand, on the more bore meal of saw, let us say something about it. Tovor Hanor, the shore, Havor, discounted amount paid by the buyer of the ksuba belongs to the wife. The Tor, the Tor, leave all by your, for if it should enter your mind that it belongs to the husband, Limru law Adim, let the zoning witnesses say to her, my officer Renor, what loss did we attempt to cause you? The Havas, Mizaba, not law with Tovas, on your or, even had you sold the ksuba for a discounted amount, Baal, Bor, she could yield me north, your husband would have taken the proceeds away from you.
Somebody asked this question yesterday. Well, when she sells, who keeps the money? So that's the topic here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does Abaye say? Who gets the money?
She does.
So Abaye says she does. The wife gets it. The Isha Havya. In other words, not only let's say it like this, even though while the how does Nifsa Milug work? Nifsa Milug means that she owns the Guf HaKarka and the husband eats the peros. If it's the fruits, or if it's a fruit orchard, let's say, the husband sells the fruits and keeps the profits.
Right.
So usually when money comes to a woman while she's married, let's say it's the Yerusha or payment for Chavola, so it becomes Nichse Milug. We use it to buy something from which the husband can eat the profits. The profits of any standard money the woman has goes to the husband. Now we're saying this is an exception. If the wife wants to sell a ksuva b'tovas hana, he has no rights to that. Right? If we need not use that kesef to buy property from which he eats the profits, rather it's hers to do whatever she wishes. And then we said, what's the proof? The Isak Adaitach, if you thought it would be otherwise, the Edom Zomim can say, we didn't make you lose this money. The whole reason the Edom Zomim have to pay the woman is because the woman can say, I could have gotten this money COD by selling Maksuva. They can say, you call that getting money? That wouldn't be your money. That's the husband's money anyway. Must be her money. She says, and she can say, I'm the victim here. I could have gotten that money. All right, there's a one line we joined into this too. Amar Rav Salman. What's the next line? In the article, how does it pronounce his name? With a shin or a sin?
Shalman.
Okay, sounds good. Mishum de'ika revach beisa. Because there is profit in the home, profit for the home. What does that mean? Again, when there are Edom Zomim, who is the victim of their plot? That's what we have to figure out. The Edom Zomim tell this woman, you're divorced and you already collected your ksuba. And she said, I am the victim of your plot. You have to pay me. The Edom Zomim say, you're not the victim, because even had you sold your ksuba, the money wouldn't have stayed by you. It would have gone to your husband. The husband's the victim of the plot. So she says, no, because I would have gotten revach beisa. Even had you given the money to the husband, I would have profited. I would have benefited. There would have been more parnasa in the house. The more money the husband gets, the more easily he gives me the credit card to buy what I need. There would be revach beisa. There would be more profit in the house. And therefore, it's really my money that I lost, and you have to pay me. So we no longer have a proof. We no longer have a proof that the proceeds of a sold ksuva go to the wife. Perhaps they're like any other money of the wife, where the husband must be allowed to eat the profits. Once again, perhaps, even if a wife needs quick cash and she sells her ksuva at risk to a buyer, perhaps what should we have to do with that money? We must invest it and let the husband eat the profits. Perhaps, right? That possibility is still open. Let's go to Rashi. Anybody want to take a try at Rashi?
I'll try it. Where are we?
We are in Rashi Dibur Hamaskel Tovas Hana, maybe about 13 lines from the bottom of the Rashi.
Okay, Tovas Hana, a good benefit. Isha ha mucheres kesuvasa, a woman that sells. That sells her kesuva, la'acharim betuvas hana. Afterwards, there's a good benefit. V'ha damim shalah, that there is value to her.
The money goes to her. They are hers.
Money goes to her.
Right.
Ein, ve'ein, the Baal. The Hain means it does.
Hein, they are. So hadomim shalo hein.
The money to her they are.
Right.
Ve'ein, the Baal, and not to the Baal, not to the husband. Behain, klum. That they are nothing.
And the husband, Ein, the husband does not get them klum
At
at
all.
all. Right. Very good. So Abaye claims we can prove from here that if she gets the money outright, the husband does not get any proceeds. However, Reb Shalman deflects that proof. He says maybe it's hers only in the sense of Revach Besa, that her home will have more income.
Afilu im habal notit lan nuach. Even if the husband takes nuach, the benefit,
Let's put a comma after notlan, takes them.
takes them,
Even if the husband takes them, meaning the money,
right? What's nuach mean?
Noach means beneficial. Noach leisha, it is still beneficial for the isha, for the woman.
There's a benefit to the woman, the mukhra, to sell, b'chaye, in his life, kedei shet tehei, in order that parnasasa, the livelihood, mitzvah,
Mitsuya,
mitsuya,
right?
the
Available.
livelihood. What's mitsuya?
Common, available.
The livelihood is available. Bevesa, berios, beriach, brioch,
Revach v'hatzola, right? Revach.
berevach.
Right.
It's available to the house, in the house. Berevach means value.
Revach here probably means ample parnosa, plentiful parnosa. In other words, she might still be the victim. She's the one who can sue the Edom Zoimin. Even if the money will go, even if the profits of the sold ksuba go to the husband, she can say, "I'm the victim here," because now there's not so much parnosa available in the household, right? Things are tight in the finances, and you caused me to lose that ability to sell my ksuba and bring more parnosa into the house.
But this argument could have also been made earlier. Whenever the husband's going to get money, she could say, yeah, but that's a benefit to me. So we could apply that to the next Malug also.
It's a good question. But what were we trying to figure out regarding the Nixon Milog? We were trying to figure out, are they paid in full or are they paid in Tovas Hana, in part?
We were trying to figure out if there's a risk.
Right, because if she can sell them, so then there's no risk. She's going to get the full amount.
Right.
Right here, we might be trying to figure out something a little different. We want to
Yeah.
know what to do with the money.
Right. Yeah, it's different. I withdraw my question.
I think. All right, I have to think about it a little more. What I responded was sort of off the cuff, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I think the reason I withdraw the question is because here we're talking about any benefit at all. There we're talking about relative benefit. If she loses something, certainly she loses something. If the husband gets it instead of she gets it,
Right.
even though you can argue that she lost out because of the overall wealth of the house, you still got to say that it's less than if she got it directly.
Right.
So it's irrelevant.
Right. The question is, did she lose it all? Is she a litigant in this case?
Right,
And either way you look at it, she is.
right, right.
Okay, let's do a couple more lines. We're up to Amar Rava. Roy, would you like to read a little bit?
Rava said, Hilchasa Tovat, Lasha. The law is that the discounted amount belongs to the woman. Ve'ein haba'al achal piros, and the husband does not even consume the profits of that income. Me ta'ama, what is the reason? Para takana le Ravanon. The rabbis instituted for him to take the produce of the Melog property. Para defara lo takinu le Ravanon, and the rabbis did not institute for him to take the produce of the field, take the produce of the field or whatever.
Produce of produce, like indirect produce or second degree produce, if you will. It's too far removed. So proceeds from selling the ketubah, and then to take that money and invest it and create more profits, that would be payroll to payroll. That would be second degree produce to which he has no rights. Wait, so what are we saying now? Even though Rav Shalman had his objection against Abaye, nonetheless, Abaye has the correct halacha. If a woman does sell a ksuba, the money is hers absolutely. One Rashi, ve'ein abal ochel peros. You see it, Roy? It's about 7 lines from the bottom. Seven lines from the bottom of Rashi.
Are you asking me to read it?
Would you like me to read it?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. Ve'ein abal ochel peros, and the husband does not have the right to eat the peros of the proceeds of that money. Lo amrinan. In this case, we do not say yikach b'hen karka, that let them buy land, or some other proceed producing investment. V'hu ochel peros, and he should eat the profits. We might do that for other monies, but not this money, not the proceeds from selling her ksuba. We can leave it with her. All right. So the next time we have Gemorrah Shir is on Yom Rishon. Bezrat Hashem, on Yom Rishon, I want to do this Tosfos. about payroll to payroll, second degree profits. You know, she brings in a flock of sheep, right? So the husband only gets the kids of the goats, but not the kids, right? Not the grandchildren. It's payroll to payroll. That'd be very surprising. So we'll have to see we'll try to see the sources next time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
A pleasure. All right.
Four, right?
See you tomorrow for Peleoids, Bezrat Hashem.
We'll see you at 4, right?
Okay.
I'll
No,
see you
4
at 4. Yes, Alan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Chaim. See you tomorrow, Matchum, at 9:30.
Wait a
10:30.
minute.
Sorry, 10:30
10:30.
a.m.
Bezrat Hashem. Sounds like a plan.